Nimisha Priya, an Indian nurse, was sentenced to death in Yemen in 2020. She was found guilty of killing a Yemeni national in 2017. Nimisha Priya maintains that it was an act of self-defense, but her appeal was recently rejected by a court in Yemen. So, what can India do to save Nimisha Priya from the death sentence? And how have other Indians abroad on death row been freed? Let me explain. But before I go into that, I just want to quickly let you know that the News Minute is one of the first news organizations to interview Nimisha Priya from jail back in 2020. Journalism like this takes a lot of time, effort and resources, which is why we can't continue to do this without your support. So do support us by becoming a member of the News Minute, and to make sure that you don't miss even a single episode of Let Me Explain, which comes out every week, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let me first tell you Nimisha's story. She's 32 years old, she's from Palakkad in Kerala, and she went to work as a nurse in Yemen 10 years ago. In 2014, her husband Tommy Thomas returned to Kerala with their 1-year-old child as they were unable to raise their daughter in Yemen on their income. It was around the same time that they got acquainted with Talal Abdo Mehdi, a Yemeni national who ran a clothes shop. Nimisha wanted to set up her own clinic in Yemen, but she needed the help of a Yemeni citizen to process the license. She had first approached Talal, but eventually decided not to take his help. In 2015, Nimisha started her own clinic, but by then her husband and daughter were unable to return as Yemen was plunged into a civil war and the country was no longer issuing visas. According to Nimisha, Talal soon started harassing her. In July 2017, Talal died of a drug overdose after Nimisha injected him with sedatives. She said that she never meant to kill him and that she only sedated him with the intention of getting back her passport, which was in his possession. In her panic, she called her friend and neighbor Hanan, who was also a nurse. Nimisha alleges that it was Hanan who chopped Talal's body and disposed of it in a water tank. The two were arrested in August that year. 3 years later, the trial court sentenced Nimisha to death and Hanan to life imprisonment. In March this year, Nimisha's appeal was rejected by a higher court. She has one more appeal left at Yemen's Supreme Court, but many believe that she is unlikely to be spared the capital punishment. There are two ways to save Nimisha Priya now. One is to pay the blood money to the victim's family. The second is to hope for relief from Yemen's Supreme Court. I'll come back to the blood money part in just a bit, but let's first look at what India can do to save Nimisha Priya from the death sentence. One of the duties and responsibilities of the Indian Embassy is the welfare of Indian citizens, and this includes those arrested abroad. So what kind of help does the Indian government offer citizens who've been jailed in other countries? 1. Consular access. Indian embassy officials get in touch with local authorities to get consular access to the arrested Indian citizen and ensure their welfare. 2. Legal assistance. Embassy officials provide legal assistance for Indian prisoners. Officials also request local authorities for speedy trials, seek remission of sentence, and ask for fair and humane treatment in foreign jails. In fact, in some countries where India has signed a treaty, Indian prisoners can be brought back to India to serve their jail sentence. But this doesn't apply for prisoners on death row. In Nimisha's case, the Indian embassy has been largely missing. And this is because the Indian embassy in Yemen has been operating out of Djibouti in East Africa since 2015, when the war broke out. The Indian government has now said that it will take all steps to file an appeal on Nimisha's behalf in the court. But those helping Nimisha Priya say that this isn't enough and the government should also negotiate blood money. Under Islamic law, blood money or diya is compensation paid to the family of the victim. It's like an out-of-court settlement, an alternative to punishment. An amount of 70 lakh rupees was initially quoted by Talal's family during negotiations. A group of NRIs have come together under the name Save Nimisha International Action Council to help pay the blood money. But negotiations have stalled, and it is for this reason that the council has gone to the Delhi High Court to ask the union government to intervene diplomatically and negotiate the blood money with Talal's tribe leaders. But the Indian government has said that it will not engage in blood money negotiations. And this stand has been accepted by the Delhi High Court, which said that the blood money negotiations can be carried out privately by the council. Council members say it is impossible as blood money talks have to be held with Tala's tribe leaders. Without the government stepping in, it becomes tough to send the money to Yemen and to ensure that it reaches the right hands. So, how have other Indians abroad on death row been freed? Let's look at 3 instances. In 2021, Bex Krishnan, a man from Kerala, returned to India after he was awarded the death sentence in the UAE for running over a Sudanese boy with his car. His release was made possible thanks to the efforts of UAE-based Indian businessman M.A. Yusuf Ali, who runs the Lulu Group. It was Yusuf Ali who negotiated with the victim's family and paid the blood money of nearly 1 crore rupees. He said that the hardest part was convincing the victim's family to pardon Krishnan. In 2018, 15 Indians on death row in the UAE were released after another Dubai-based Indian businessman, S.P. Singh Oberoi, paid the blood money and secured their freedom. In one interview to the First Post, Oberoi said that he paid the money not because they were hardened criminals, but because they were usually poor and desperate. There have been other cases where the Indian government is suspected to have negotiated the blood money, but unofficially. However, not all cases involve paying blood money. Take the 2014 case of 5 Indian fishermen from Tamil Nadu who were sentenced to death in Sri Lanka on drug trafficking charges. They walked free after the then Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapakse commuted their death penalty. In this particular case, Prime Minister Narendra Modi negotiated with Rajapakse for their release on humanitarian grounds. All of these cases give Nimisha Priya, her family, and all those trying to help her hope. But given the political and social situation in Yemen, they say that the Indian government's assistance is required to save Nimisha Priya from death. What story or issue would you like us to delve into in the next episode of Let Me Explain? Tell us in the comments. Also, if you've liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with your friends.